Hi, this is my review for the Morphy Aspect Kettle. Now, first of all, I'm just going to have a look at some of the features. So, design-wise, just have a look. As you can see, this is the white version, but I think it also comes in a titanium version. Now, one of the first features is a fully removable lid. So, have a look. There we go. There's the lid. Now, the only thing I found with this is the kettle itself is actually really easy to keep clean and white, but the lid with the stainless steel shows all of the splash marks, so that's a little bit disappointing. And as you can see, there's a tiny little arrow. Now, when you refill the kettle, the arrow has to line up in there, and sometimes a little bit tricky to get it back exactly in place, and it's slightly frustrating. If you can see this grill here, this is actually a lime scale filter. Now, I love the fact that this is actually built into the kettle, and in order to clean it, you just have to soak it in some descaler on hot water. I think it's for about 5 minutes. It shouldn't need doing that regularly, and it helps to keep the inside of the kettle nice and clean. On this side, we have the water gauge. Now, it actually holds up to 1.5 litre capacity. That's roughly 6 drinks. I found that when the kettle was actually full of water, it's very, very heavy to lift, and I think you need to consider whether you'd actually be making 6 drinks at one time for that feature to be worth it. As you can see there, that's showing us a minimum of 3 cupfuls. Now, if you want to make less than that, you kind of have to check in the kettle to see if there's enough water. So, as a single parent, for me, it's not ideal, but for a family that drinks lots of hot drinks, then yeah, it's worth it. Wise, doesn't actually give any functionality, but we have an illuminated on-off switch, which is just a nice feature. It's very easy actually, buttons not difficult to press. And also on the base, I like the fact that we have a coloured base. Again, these are just design features and not really anything that will give you a benefit with functional. You can see here that kettle itself is actually cordless, so it's very easy to move about and fill. And underneath the base, you can wind the cord up just to make storage a bit easier. I like the fact that it is a fully swivel base, because depending on which way you want your kettle to stand, you can choose the position you want it in. I'm just going to turn the kettle on to boil so you can see it. Now, I found it is very quick to boil, but it's actually quite noisy, and I don't know whether the camera will pick up. Now, I don't know if it's just because I've been used to a quiet kettle or because it's got a large capacity, but yeah, I do personally find it quite noisy. And the other thing is you have to be really careful, because as the kettle boils, this wall gets really, really hot. So you'd obviously try and keep a kettle out of the reach of children, but anybody else is just going to touch it. I know quite often out of habit you'll just touch the kettle to see if it's hot. That is really, really hot when it's turned on. So yeah, this is the Morphy kettle. Design-wise, it's nice, it's functional, but price-wise, it's quite expensive for what it is. And I think its best selling point is the fact that it's got a 1.5 litre capacity. But if you don't need that feature, then maybe you should look at some of the other options available. Thank you for watching my review.